My mum was a seamstress and she had a sewing room off the back of the sitting room. I used to go in there and sort of fart about with all her threads and her sewing box. I loved that. And I used to pull it apart and then tidy it because I was always really obsessed with things being tidy and organised. And I can remember sitting there sewing with her doing her thing in the background, and I'd be playing, making a real mess. And my sisters made clothes for their dolls and clothes for themselves, and I was totally crap at it. I was so bad at making clothes. I remember making 4 tubes, like 4 strips of fabric to make trousers, and I forgot to put in like your crotch. And it was just like, oh, that's not work. And so I can remember being really rubbish at doing anything technical, but really good at just sort of making marks. Yeah, so that was my earliest memory. And my mum saying, "You'll never be a sewer if you bite your nails." I still bite my nails. I did an HNC at the Edinburgh College. I did a small module in freehand machine embroidery, and that was it. I was like, fuck, I can sew. I never considered myself a confident drawer, and then when I found embroidery, the needle became my pen. I just found it the easiest thing, and I think it was creating that distance from, that sort of perceived, this is technical, good drawing. So I went to Dundee College of Art, Duncan of Georgeson, brilliant place. I didn't read my prospectus properly, so I thought I was doing a sort of sculpture course, but actually it was constructed textiles. So we did weaving, knitting and tapestry, and I really couldn't do the weaving or the knitting. Not that I don't appreciate them, it wasn't for me, whereas tapestry really was. So that's what my degree was in. I moved to London straight after Dundee, and I'd always been embroidering, so I picked that up again. Ended up sort of working in the fashion industry, which has many multi-facets, that's for sure. Brilliant, very exciting, very toxic, very exhilarating, all those things. Some great successes, had some great failures. My label didn't make it through the financial crash. It was hellish, really hellish period of my life, and I feel like I embroidered my way out of it. So to cut a long story short, we decided to make the move back to Scotland. London's great, full of opportunities, it's exhilarating, but there was a real pull to come back here. When we made that decision, I literally cried for 6 months. The 6 months before I left London, the 6 months that I got back to Scotland, and it was just such a massive change. And through that, again, I just sold my way out of the sort of the emotional turmoil of it all. Literally, in a train journey, in 4.5 hours, I'd lost my identity from Scottish Laura to Laura. It felt a big change was coming, and I had to grapple and refine my identity. And in London, I'd done exhibitions around sort of being Scottish. I had all this sort of tartan in my flat, like tartan cushion and, a tartan, brilliant, McEwen's special icebox. And then I got back to Edinburgh, I was like, what the fuck? This is no currency. Why am I holding on to this? And, I suppose in London I needed to feel that sort of around me. And I came back to Scotland and I felt like a tourist. I was so this is my hometown, but it totally transformed. And I started to embroider postcards. I'd always written loads of postcards. I'd always kept lots of contact with friends in Edinburgh. I'd always pinged back and forth postcards from London, but the buildings that were featured in these postcards weren't the architecture I loved, and so I started doing all these lovely modernist buildings, all the Basil Spence stuff, the Library of Scotland, the Peter Wormsley buildings down in Galashiels, the stadium, and Bernard Klein House, and these were the sort of bits of architecture that really drew me in, and it became this really sort of lovely way to just sort of connect back to Scotland. Then got in touch with Bard, who have been brilliantly supportive and really understood the nature of what I was doing. They really instantly got it. They loved the fact that these postcards could be sitting in this sort of very like lackadaisical style, this very nice, sort of easy, there you go. And I like the idea of them, you know, this really in-depth, intricate, really hard graph, beautiful piece of thing. You just sit in your mantelpiece as you would a normal postcard, and not taking it with this sort of, you know, being all precious about it. So after selling with Bard and having a lovely supportive relationship, we committed to a show. So we're doing one in June, and it will be basically this love letter to Scotland. It's for people to understand that there's a real passion and a real joy to be here and to be living in Scotland. And the thing that really pulled me back was the light, and I think that's what I've really encapsulated in the postcards. It's about really shining the light. I've not entered into any political sort of slant in this because it's not the right place. I'm very political, but in terms of this show, I want people to come in and just enjoy and relish and love the luxury of embroidery and textiles.
And I am just holding you tight, but I'm not doing my job at all.